I certainly don't want to do another. And I also think that sometimes horror movies get relegated to I call it the horror movie ghetto of like, okay, well that's a horror movie, or the same way something is a comedy. Well, that's a low budget comedy, and that's a horror movie, and we can't look at those movies the same way as we do a big budget, star-driven project. And I tried to tackle this movie as a real movie, in a different way. It's not just a horror movie. I've tried to make it something bigger, and hopefully people will see that it appeals. I want this to appeal to diehard Nightmare fans, and I want to find new fans, and also find people that may not be necessarily fans of horror.
Well, you're talking about how things have changed since then, like the acting style might be different today than it is back then. Obviously, movie-making technology has also come a long way. What are some of the ways you've tried to take advantage of, the special effects advancements that have happened in the last couple of decades?
It's interesting you should say that. I mean, I think that some people will be surprised that I think this is a movie that's actually, there's a lack of technology in it, and I think there was two different versions of this movie. There's the CG heavy version, which tried to push every kind of post effect you possibly could in it, and I think that my version is much more rooted in kind of gritty realism. It's like sets are built, they're art directed. There's just not. I don't think people are going to look at this movie and say like, oh, that's a real showcase for 21st century technology. I mean, maybe in certain places you'll definitely see that, and I think you'll see that with Freddy's makeup, to be honest with you. Some elements of some of the dream sequences, but it's pretty much organic filmmaking. What was in camera is what we shot is what we got.
I'm wondering if we can talk about the dream sequences, because for many Nightmare fans, including myself, those are probably the things that stick out the most, since they scared the hell out of us when we were younger. How did you approach those dream sequences in this film? How did you find the balance between sort of making something new versus, paying respects to the dream sequences from the older film?
Hopefully I think I'm proud of what we've done. I think we've done a very delicate balance, and you can't please everybody. I think some people are going to say, okay, well, why did they lift sequences from the original movie? Why couldn't they come up with something different? And we did come up with things different, and sometimes we did pay homage to the original movie and take iconic. I mean, I just don't know how you could reinvent this without having the hand in the bathtub, or maybe the character flying in the character of in the original, it's Tina flying in the air. We've got our version of that, and I really don't want to give too much away, but we had a screening and people were clapping when some of those things came up, and we did that for the diehard fans. And I think what's cool about it is I think there's some new scares in there that were not there 25 years ago, because we did try and reinvent it. And then there's some new, there's definitely some new stuff going on. One of the coolest things about the movie is we have the concept of micro naps, which is based on real stuff that goes on. If you stay awake for 72 hours, you start dreaming with your eyes open, which is a terrifying concept that we make a big part of our story, which now it's no longer, you can't fall asleep, but you might fall asleep whether you like it or not.
Let me ask you, as a director in general, I guess, big picture-wise, what were the biggest challenges of going to directing a film versus directing a music video for you personally?
I think the biggest challenge is, and I heard there's another director that I heard this quote from that I do a lot of commercials and music video. Well, I do basically commercials now, but I did do a lot of music videos. And doing commercials and music videos are a sprint. When I do a project, the beginning and the end of it's within 3 weeks. And this is a year of my life. It's been a marathon, and so the biggest challenge is just endurance. Is can you be fresh and objective with something after you look at it week after week after week? And I can honestly say, after doing a movie, I know why bad movies are done. Because I think that I think that people are hypnotized by what they're looking at, and they're not you know, it's impossible to see clearly after you're looking at the same thing day after day after day.
So what were some ways you tried to avoid that, if any?
I think to walk away from it, or not let things be precious, or show it to enough people that you can take the criticism or the confusion about the story, and you know, it's always that it's never, you know, I think it's also something that I think Michael's not afraid of, is like it's never right. There is no right answer. It's never perfect. You got to keep whether you're cutting away or adding something or adding an ADR line, it's like, you know, there might be a better solution to something, and that's very difficult, especially when you think you nailed something, to try screwing it up to make it even better. And it's definitely an exercise.
That sounds like it's like really challenging compared to doing music videos. I'm wondering, like, what is something that you've really enjoyed that working in music videos doesn't have?
You know, to be very honest with you, what I enjoy about it is that there's nothing permanent about my legacy of making music videos, and it's very sad in a way, because I did it for a really long time, and I've made some I think some memorable music videos, and I did some huge commercials that I'm not so sure people would know today, that, you know, they just get forgotten about, and you know, making a movie's forever, and that's the most important thing to me, that you can't take it away. Your name goes on, and it goes into someone's library. You can download it. It goes on iTunes. It goes, you know, you go get it from Netflix or something. It's like it's there forever. And, you know, I cannot compare that to doing music videos or commercials or any other sort of element of the business. It's you know, it's like being a writer and saying you've never published a book, or you know, I think you may want to write a book. I think it's like being a composer or being in the music business and not doing a record. It's like everything has something that I think has a level of permanence to it that you aspire to.
If the film does well, do you think there's going to be a sequel? Would you be interested in directing the sequel? What are your thoughts on that?
I really hope the film does well. I will not be involved in the sequel. I need to have I don't want to have my next movie be a horror movie. I'm already looking at stuff that I think I'm probably going to do might be an action movie, or there's a comic book they want to make into a film I'm very attracted to. But I think I'm going to move on and let someone else handle the next one, and you know, it'll be great.
Well, yeah, that was going to be my last question, which is, what do you think you're going to be doing next? And I guess you just described some of the possibilities. Can you elaborate on any of those?
You know, I'm sure my agent would kill me for this, because I'm sure I'm not supposed to talk about it or whatever, but I don't really care. Is that no, my assistant's shaking her head. No. I was going to mention a project. Shut up. Okay. Do what people tell me. Yeah, I'll bury myself with this one. There's some very cool. There's some very, very cool stuff out there. I'm really into graphic novels and really into the superhero genre, and I really think there's some interesting stuff going on, and I think that's what I'm leaning towards.
All right. Well,
cool.
That sounds really exciting, and when that happens, we'll be sure to report on it. But
awesome. Listen, I do know your site very well, and I'm really excited to do this.
Well, Mr. Baer, we thank you so much for your generous time here today, and we wish you the best of luck with the film.
Thank you so much.